the most important thing that you want to achieve, find, or capture in the art of filmmaking?
The most important thing is somehow the complexity of what it means to be alive. Because I think often we walk around in our lives, half asleep, like in a dream of everyday reality, and somewhere deep inside we know there's something else. So if you can get that quality on film, that something else, that mysterious essence of existence, it's a very exciting thing to do.
I saw Orlando when I was very young, and it really impressed me the way you approach the story and the way of shooting it. How was the process of making it?
The process of making Orlando was very long. It took me 7 years to raise the money, to develop it, to write it, to rewrite it, to find out how to do difficult things like shoot scenes on a frozen river. And in the end, we did that by going to Russia and shooting on the frozen sea. So it was simply a very, very long process of application and imagination and work on a lot of detail. But of course, it was based on a very important book by Virginia Woolf, and it's an adaptation, finally, of her ideas about immortality, impermanence, love. History.
More than showing the past, you tend to reinvent the past. How does your imagination work in that process?
Well, I think history, one's own personal history, but also the wider history, is anyway a kind of fiction. Once it's gone, you invent it by telling it, by narrating it. It becomes a story. And there comes with that, how can I say, a kind of responsibility to what you perceive as the truth, the hidden story, not the cliche, not the stereotype, not the dominant story, the dominant narrative of history, which leaves out a lot. So I guess what I try and do is tell the hidden stories, the stories that haven't found a voice before. Whether that's individual or social also.
Teenage years and the missile crisis are a natural combination, you've said. How do you articulate this in your film?
Well, teenage years for anybody are a time of incredible transition, when things seem kind of out of control, hormonally, where you're breaking away from the safety of the family and finding your own feet, your own identity. And it can feel like a very dangerous time, a loss of childhood, and an exciting time as you invent your own future. 1962, the time of the Cuban Missile Crisis, was the end of the 1950s, of a kind of stability following the Second World War. But it was really just the beginning of the 1960s, when so many things changed in so many countries. All the liberation movements, the women's liberation movement, gay liberation, civil rights movement, many other mass movements have changed. So to bring those two together felt like a kind of dynamite, And I tried to make echoes from one to the other constantly, minute to minute, in the way the story is told.
You talk about the importance of music and poetry in your films. Especially, can you talk about the writing process of Yes?
Well, Yes was written as an immediate response to the events of 9/11, when it became clear that we were entering into many decades of hatred, East and West. So I wanted to immediately make an antidote, a kind of opposite, to do a love poem, East-West. And it seemed that the natural way that it emerged as I was trying to write it was in the stream of consciousness of iambic pentameter, like a kind of river of thought, or of thought and feeling, almost like the blood flowing through the body somehow. It came out that way, and then I got interested in the idea of it being like an epic poem that reflects quite closely, actually, the inner way that we structure language. I came to the conclusion, in fact, that we probably somewhere inside kind of think and feel in iambic pentameter, and then we adapt it into so-called normal speech.
If and when I die, I want to see you cry. I want to see you tear your hair, your howls of anguish fill the air. I want to see you beat your breast and rend your clothes and all the rest, and sobbing fall upon my bed. I want to know that I am dead.
No.
But I will go.
No, please don't die.
Going back to your first question, to the first answer you gave me, you said you make cinema to recover. Sorry if I'm misquoting you. Recover the sense of life, not being like asleep. And as you were answering that, I was thinking of the iambic pentameter and how it drags you into a rhythm, and sometimes you get loose in it.
Yes.
So how did you recover life in this rhythm that you can go away with it? I don't know if I made myself
No,
clear.
it's fine. What I discovered with it was that when you make such a tight structure like that, you know, you give yourself rules. Within those rules, you become very free, and the structure of kind of flow that there is in iambic pentameter, it's like the flow of breath itself, breathing. It also allowed to have words in speech that were more detailed than the distillation of the normal spoken speech when we're having a conversation. It's like it was an integration of the things we say and the things we can't say, if that makes sense to you. It was very exciting. It was very, I have to say, it was an incredibly risky thing to do because it had never been done on film before. And but the actors loved working with it. They found it very liberating, very easy to memorize, and very liberating, very flowing. And then even more satisfying to me was that many people watched the film and they never knew it was in iambic. They never noticed it was in iambic pentameter, and they didn't hear the rhymes. They just heard. The secret life of the characters.
You must love Shakespeare, I assume.
Of course. It's very difficult to put on film though, I think. So I was trying to bring the iambic pentameter into something that was had a completely modern feeling and relevant to speech patterns of today, and not theatrical, but cinematic.
What really matters is to live. And if we do, there will be nothing to forgive.